started a home-based service business and you have found that running a business is harder than it looks and more overwhelming than you ever thought it would be. This podcast is the best of the best information that I've learned to help grow and sustain my business. Listen, subscribe, and follow along. We can avoid the overwhelm and start creating a business we love to run. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the DAC podcast. My name is Lydia Miller, and I am a business owner. I live in Pensacola, Florida, and I am just a lover of all things business. Right now, I am getting my MBA, and this podcast coincides with the seasons, coincide with the classes that I took. So if you're new, that's kind of an overview of this podcast. And today's episode is going to be a little bit different because it's all about Business Boutique, and it's about this event that I went to last weekend in Nashville, Tennessee. And so if you are not familiar with Business Boutique, it is a Dave Ramsey company event, and it's led by Christy Wright. And their tagline is "Women Making Money Doing What They Love." And whenever I first started my business, this is one of the first brands that I found that really helped me gain the confidence and some of the skills that I needed to start my own business. So I'm definitely a fan. I have been to a one-day event prior to this in Atlanta in the spring of, I think it's 2017, but this is my first time to go to the actual 3-day event that they host in Nashville, Tennessee. So I have a few things that I would definitely do again and things that I would not do again. So I want to share those first, and then I'll share some of the takeaways that I had from the lessons and some of my favorite things that I learned, and so on and so forth. So let's dive straight into things that I would do again and things that I would not do again. So here are some things that I would definitely do again if I went to the event next year or in the future. Number one, Opryland. I would definitely stay at Opryland again. This is if you don't know, it's a really big hotel in Nashville, and it's gorgeous. They have glass ceilings on the inside, and the greenery is beautiful, and they have like waterfalls, and it's like a really, really nice hotel. And if you book with the Business Boutique group, we got a little bit of a discount. So it was paying the same as basically like most other hotels, so that's why I decided to stay there. If it would have been regular price, I probably would not have, because it's really expensive. But I would definitely stay there again if they had another group rate. It was really close to the church, and what was nice is that there are restaurants in Opryland, and there are several. So whenever I got back to the hotel at night, I could go downstairs and get dinner, and then there was lots of places to walk around since we've been sitting all day. So I would definitely do that again. Number two, something that I would do again if I went to this event, I would definitely still get a VIP ticket. I did this for the event in Atlanta as well, because it really wasn't that much more expensive. And the same with the 3-day event, because I purchased my ticket back in May when they first went on sale. And the perks of this, besides sitting down close to the stage, which for me wasn't truly a perk because I wouldn't necessarily want to sit in the front, but I did anyway. They have a VIP lounge. So in the mornings, whenever I got there and didn't have time to get coffee on the way because the lines were too long, they had coffee set up, they had water, they had snacks. So in between sessions, we could go back there and we could fuel up and get ready, and then come back out where it was a lot less crowded than like in the regular areas. And we also got lunch included on Friday, which was nice. We didn't have to stand in line for food trucks. And during that lunch, there was a panel of speakers from the event, and there were some questions that were asked, and it was a lot smaller of an audience. So that was really, really valuable as well, because it's just more content that you're paying for, and questions that were being answered that weren't answered necessarily on the stage. So I would definitely do that again. If you buy your tickets ahead of time, they are a little bit cheaper. So if you're thinking about going, I think tickets went on sale in May of this last year, because I think as soon as they went on sale, I pretty much purchased one. So definitely do it ahead of time, because the closer you get to the event, the more expensive it becomes. But I would really suggest doing that if you can, because it was such a good experience to do that. And number 3, I would also do it scared again. So do it scared is one of the taglines that are from that event. And I'll definitely say that I was not prepared to leave for this trip. I was not, I still had some things even on like my car that I wanted to do, and some other loose ends that I didn't get wrapped up before I left. And I felt a lot of anxiety leaving, because I knew that I was going to be busy, and things like that are really draining for me as an introvert. So I knew I was going to be really tired. And I was driving by myself, which I don't necessarily like to do. And I was in, Nashville, and there's a lot of traffic, and just there's a lot of reasons why I was telling myself ahead of time, like, you don't need to go, just stay home, just save the money and cancel all your reservations, sell your ticket. Don't do it. Don't go. It's not worth it. But I'm definitely glad that I went. I learned a lot. I think that this next year I'm going to have even more growth in my business because of things that I learned there. So I would say do it scared, even if you don't know anybody. Like I went knowing a few people in an online group that I'm in, but I didn't know anybody personally whenever I went. So I'm so glad that I did it anyway, and that I didn't let the fear hold me back from going. So those are some things that I would definitely do again. And that was staying at Opryland, getting a VIP ticket, and doing it scared. And so some things that I would change. Number one, my phone. My phone kept dying. I have the iPhone 6, and it is the worst at this point. It keeps dying. It'll be at 100%, and then I'll watch like 2 videos on Instagram and it'll be down to like 75%. So it kept dying through the event, and I kept trying to like record things and put them on Instagram for you guys to watch, but it kept dying, and I was so frustrated because it was not supposed to be doing that. So that was one of the things I didn't get done before I left, was to go get it, to upgrade to a newer phone so that it would actually, like work the entire time. So that's something that I would change. Make sure that if you're going, that you have your charger with you as well. I did not have my charger the first day. It was actually in my car, but I had to go out there and get it and then charge my phone up again like 3 different times. So just things like that. Make sure you have those things taken care of if you want to put things on Instagram. If you want to leave your phone like in your car and like not even think about it, then that's great as well. Number 2, something that I would change, one of my breakout sessions. So during the event, there were a lot of keynote speeches and speeches from the stage, but then we had 2 options to go to 2 different breakout sessions, and they had probably like 7 or 8 to choose from. And I was pretty quickly able to pare down to like 3 that I wanted to go to. And so the first one I went to was amazing. There was a ton of content. It was exactly what I needed to hear, and it was truly incredible. But the second one kind of felt like a sales pitch the entire time. It didn't feel like there was a lot of content being given. I had a lot of questions whenever I left, and I didn't feel like they really answered any of them. So I was really disappointed with that. So I would say ahead of time, check out the speakers. Like if they have a podcast, listen to their podcast, because if you walk away from their podcast thinking, wow, there is absolutely no content in that podcast episode, there's probably a good indication that when they speak live, it's also not going to be content heavy either. So I would say next time I go, I'm going to do a little bit more research on the speakers for the topics and make sure that it's something that I think is going to be worth my time going to, because I could have gone to another one that I think would have been more valuable. So that's something that I would change. And then the third thing, because these come in things of 3, is the traffic. Oh my gosh, the traffic in Nashville is insane. As I was leaving, they told me that there's 100 people a day that are moving to Nashville, and you just can't keep up with the roads and with traffic. So it was really busy, but there was one thing that was offered from Opryland where you could get on a bus and they would take you to the event and bring you back at the end. And I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have paid the few extra dollars to have somebody else take care of the driving for me and not worried about driving and navigating traffic and things like that. So I would definitely change that for next year. Okay, and so some of my takeaways. So my biggest takeaway was really something basic that she taught, and something that I knew, but something that I hadn't really remembered. And let me grab my book. So we also got this book, and it's like 75 pages of like where we could take notes and everything. So that was really handy as well. Okay, so let me go to the first breakout session page, or the first session. So the first session she did was called What's the Problem? And I think this was one of my biggest takeaways, and was the very first thing she said, which was the most important thing you need to know about your business is the problem that you solve. And I know this, I know that, but it was such a good reminder, because as I've been creating new things and as I've been thinking about new ideas for the business, it's really easy to focus on what I would want to do and things that I think would be valuable, but I still need to focus on what's the problem and how can I solve that? What's the problem? What am I doing to solve that? What's the problem? How is this going to help? Because that's where people buy things. That's why people buy things, is because they have problems. And if you have something to solve that problem for them, they're going to want to buy it. And it doesn't matter how big or how small the problem is, you just need to actually be solving a problem and not just selling a product. I think this is why a lot of companies, I think this is a big factor that differentiates a company that succeeds and one that doesn't. Because if you have something that doesn't really solve a problem or that nobody wants, then you're not going to be able to really sell a whole lot of things. So that was really important for me to remember. And again, that is the most important thing you need to know about your business, is the problem that you solve. So what problem are you solving? Are you solving a big enough problem? Are you specific enough about the problem that you have or that your customer has? Make sure that you know those things before you go into business, instead of just, I think this would be fun, or I think this is a good idea, or she's doing it and she looks successful, because those are not good things to base your business on for sure. So that was the very first session of What's the Problem? Okay. And that was like I said, a really good session. I really like this other takeaway from this, which is the fourth grader test. As you are starting to talk about your business, you need to run it through a fourth grader, because if a fourth grader doesn't understand what you do, then you need to make it simpler. You need to make it as simple as possible to understand, so that your customer can grasp it easily and not have to search for what you're actually talking about. Okay. So that was the first session, and the second session was on the plan to know where you're going. And if you have not read her book, Business Boutique, it's basically a big recap of that. She didn't go into a ton of detail, on this, but you should definitely read her book if you are thinking about starting a business, and you will get the gist of this whole session, which was great. Let me flip to the next one. Ooh, this was a really good takeaway as well. Okay, along with what is a problem that you're solving, she said you aren't selling a drill, you are selling drilled holes. So if you're a hardware store, you are not selling a drill, you are selling drilled holes. You are selling the results from what you're doing, which I thought was a really great example, and something that'll, I think, change how I talk about my business and how I talk about things that I'm launching. So that was really good. And then Dave Ramsey spoke, which I am always excited to hear him speak. He spoke about financial peace for business, and a lot of this stuff I knew because I'm a bookkeeper, and a lot of these things I already knew, but it was so good to hear him speak and his excitement for all of these things. That was a really, really great session as well. And then the next session was with Megan Tamey, and she's the owner of Evereve, and I have never heard of this brand before ever. And it makes sense because it is a clothing store for moms, and I'm not a mom. So she is a CEO of this brand, and she was being interviewed in this. So let me see. One of the things that I really liked about this interview is that she talked about mini goals and about customer experience. So if you have a team or if it's just you, she suggested that you set mini goals. And so that's like one thing a day, like focus on smiling today, focus on your behavior and little things that you can change to create a better client experience. And they can be tiny baby steps, but if it's in the right direction, then you'll see results eventually. So it was all about coaching behavior in business, which was the biggest takeaway that I had from that. Okay, so after that, there was a panel for top traits of highly successful women. And the panel had Christy Wright and 3 other women who worked for Ramsey Solutions. So they really just kind of had some questions, and this session was good, but I will say that I wished that people on the panel were business owners instead of business leaders, because it's definitely different. But they had good things to say, but those are my thoughts on that as well. And after that, then there was the panel for lunch. Let me flip back to those notes because, okay, so the panel, there was a lot of good things that were said as well. I think that they actually recorded that and that it's going to be on a podcast episode in the future. So just FYI, it'll probably be coming out if you guys want to hear it. One of the things that I really liked that was said, which Emily Lay said this, and I think Laura Casey said this as well. She wasn't there, but I think she's the one that told Emily this, which was, if I'm not excited about this anymore, then what am I excited about? And that kind of hit, because there's some things I'm doing in my business right now that I'm just not excited about and that I just don't want to do, but I've definitely created them. And I realized in that moment that, okay, so if I created this, then I can change this. If I'm not excited about something in my business that I'm offering, I can change that. It doesn't mean that I have to do this forever. So just that realization again, which was something so basic that I've already known, but knowing that again has been really helpful. So again, that's, if you're not excited about this anymore, then what are you excited about? And how can you change to where you're doing things that you are excited about in your business? Because it makes a huge difference. Okay, so for the breakout sessions, I'm just going to talk about the one that I really liked and not about the other one, because there's nothing to talk about in the other one. So the first breakout session, I went to Jennifer Allwood, and it was all about how to use live video to build your business. And I've never heard of her before this event. Like, I don't know who she was, but she's amazing. Definitely follow her on Instagram because she has a lot of good things to say. So she talked about a lot of things. I have tons of notes. And one of the things that she talked about that I thought was really helpful was, if you are trying to do Facebook Lives to build your brand, you need to be doing 2 of them a week. 2 a week. Not 1, 2 a week. And it needs to be consistent. So, and you also need to be posting on Facebook 4 times a day, which I was blown away by that, because I thought you could post on there once a day and be fine. But no, you have to be posting on there 4 times a day. And only 25% of the time do you need to be talking about sales or things that you're doing. The other 3 times you need to be talking about building content and building value in for your client or for your ideal client. So that was really important to learn. And Facebook Live is definitely where it's at. Mark Zuckerberg talked about how if you go live, then he wants to push that up to the top of people's news feeds. So it's really important to do. And she gave us things to go live about. It's like 60 things. I need to download that. I need to write a note to myself to download that. But definitely check out our website, because she will teach you how to go live, what to go live about, when to go live. She gave us all kinds of good tips. Let's see. Whenever you are going live, you need to be using the Facebook page app. It's the orange app on your phone. I didn't know that. I thought you could just go live on your regular app and it would be fine. But apparently you need to be going live on your Facebook page app, because if not, Facebook could shut you down if they think you're doing too much business on your personal page. And you need to be going live on your business page, not your personal page, twice a week as well. I need to be live for at least 15 minutes. If you're live fewer than 15 minutes, then Facebook won't even care. It will not push you to the top. So at least 15 minutes twice a week. You need to be posting on Facebook 4 times a week. And you need to see when your audience is online. You can go onto your orange Facebook app for your business page, and you can see when your audience is most likely to be on Facebook, and you need to meet them there at that time for them. So it might be like 7 p.m. on a Friday, or it might be 7 a.m. on a Monday. Like it just depends on your audience. So you need to make sure that you're meeting them where they are. And definitely She also said the content you deliver is most important, which I think we all knew that. And you need to ask people to share in the middle of the video that you're doing. So about halfway through, you need to ask people to share the video that you have going. Okay, so I'm going to just skip the second one, and that was Friday, and Friday was a really, really long day. And then Saturday, we had half a day of content. So the first session from Christy was to do it scared, and she talked about how there's a lot of fear in business, and one of the things that I really liked about this session is that you need to talk to yourself. Instead of listening to yourself, you need to talk to yourself and tell yourself what you believe and that you're confident and things like that, which I really, really liked that idea of just talking to yourself instead of listening to yourself. Okay. And so that was the Do It Scared. And then there was a Business Boutique Success Stories from Elizabeth McCravey and Amy Gabriel. I think I'm saying her last name wrong, but they were both, I think, attendees last year at the event, and their audience has grown and their business has grown a lot. And so they were really, really great to follow and to listen to a lot of their advice. I really, really enjoyed that as well. And then next was, I think, one of my absolute favorite sessions of the entire event, which was Amy Jo Martin. She's a social media guru, and it was entitled Why Not Now? And I'd never heard of her before either. Like, I did not know who she was at all, but I took 3 pages of notes, and most of the other things I took like 1 page, maybe 2 pages, or like half a page of notes. But this one was so good. She talked about being a renegade, and it's a positive disruption, not interruption. And I loved that. Absolutely loved that. And this session was really more on personal branding online. And so one of the things that I really liked what she said was, you don't brand yourself, you are yourself, and that creates a brand. I thought that was really helpful to hear, especially because as you see these people online that have these big personal brands and you think, how do I create that? You really don't. You just be yourself, and that's what creates the brand for sure. She also talked about, if you're looking at your news feed or your, I guess it's your news feed on like Instagram, you should be able to walk into that and be able to live there. And it should be complementary to your home. It should be complementary to you as a person. It shouldn't be something that's like fake and totally different from your actual personality. So keep that in mind as well. And she gave us, let me see, I think there were 10 things. I'm not going to read through all 10 of them, but because that would take like another like 30 minutes. But a few things that I really, really liked was, you need to, let me see. I have so many stars on this page. It's hard to know what the actual best thing was. Okay, so your goal on social media is to connect with people who believe what you believe. Let me say that again. Your goal on social media is to connect with people who believe what you believe. And so as you're thinking through this, you need to share the who and the why, not the what. So connect with people who believe what you believe on social media. Let me see. Let me go to the last page. Okay, I think that was the biggest thing that she talked about that I really, really liked. And just about personal branding, basically everything she said was amazing. And I may actually do a completely separate podcast episode on this whenever I am doing the one on personal branding. I'll probably do a whole separate episode on that. Okay, so after her speech, there was an interview with Emily Lay, which I was so excited to hear. I've been following her and her brand Simplified for a really long time now, and I use her products. So I was so excited to hear her interview. And one of the things that she said that was really tactical that I think I'm going to be doing over the Christmas break in my business is to build consistent branding. And so what she said was that she and one of her employees took a whole summer and they mapped out all their branding colors. They made it into a PDF guide. They talked about how they want their brand to feel. and how visually consistent they wanted their brand to be, because that's really important for your newsfeed online. But it's, like I said, it should still feel like you could live there. And so I think I'm going to do that over Christmas, is to make sure that I get all of those details nailed down. She also sells a workbook and a video called The Well-Loved Brand, which I actually did buy last year when they were having a sale. And it's like a 100-page workbook on just creating this brand. So that's going to be one of my goals, is to get through that and to make a PDF guide for DAC, especially as I hopefully hire employees in the future. I want to have all those details nailed out before it creates a mess. So I'm definitely going to be doing that. Oh, wait. So Emily Lay was the one who said your brand should feel like you could walk in and live there. And that's definitely true. So what are your signature colors? What are the colors in your home? All of those types of things. So that was a really good interview as well. I wished it was longer. It felt kind of short. I wish it was quite a bit longer actually, but I really did like that. Oh, and the other thing that she said was to create a voice guide. So what kind of things do you want to say? What are phrases that you want your brand to be known for? What are some things that you want to add in and for the feel that you want to give your brand? I thought that was really important as well. Okay, and the last session was getting rid of the guilt and how to stop the cycle and take back your time. And this was from Christy Wright. And I think that this was a really good session, but if you are not a mom, it was hard to connect with as far as like the mom guilt, because I'm not a mom, so I don't feel that necessarily because I'm not a parent. But there were some things that she said that I did connect with, as far as if we aren't careful, we will know everything about everyone else's life and completely miss our own if you're spending too much time on your phone. And so for me, that's definitely something, because if I am feeling discouraged or insecure about something, I tend to compare myself, especially on social media, because that's really easy to do. So just be careful about that. It was a good reminder as well. And I think that was the very end of the event. That was a lot of content that I covered, and there was so much more as well that we got to learn. This episode is really long as well. So that was the event in a nutshell. I would definitely suggest going again. The speakers change every year. So if you see a speaker in the next few years that you really want to hear from, make sure that you go to that event, because they might not be back again. So that is Business Boutique. It was a great few days in Nashville. I was exhausted by the end of it. It was so much content and a lot of people. And after that, my husband and I actually went to Helen, Georgia for a few days to stay in a cabin like up in the woods somewhere. And then we went down to the town and we got to relax. So that was really, really nice. A really nice way to kind of unwind from the event and just to relax a little bit and to process through some of these things as well. So that is all. If you were at the event, I would love to hear some of your takeaways and some of the things that you learned and some things that you want to take with you and things that you're implementing in your own business. So you can find me on Instagram at DAC_balance_LLC. And we can connect there. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. If you are thinking about starting a business, all those good things, I would love to hear from you. So that is all for today, and I will talk to you guys again next week.